Chapter 2. Awareness, Reality, and Critical Dream Skills. Come with me now as I take you on a tour of reality. Like Neo in The Matrix, take the red pill and let me show you a world you did not know existed. The movie The Matrix is actually a very good example of lucid dreaming. Anyone who has watched that movie would love to be able to do the things that Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity were able to do. Think for a moment about the concepts in this movie. Morpheus showed Neo that the world that he knew was a computer-generated dream. All Morpheus did was to make Neo aware. As a result, the next time Neo was back in the Matrix, the computer-generated dream, he could do superhuman things. He was now lucid in the illusion. He was aware that he was in a computer-generated dream, and just that awareness alone made unbelievable things possible. This is a wonderful film to help you understand lucid dreaming concepts, because in your dreams, the effect of conscious awareness is the same. Just realizing you are dreaming while you are in the dream changes everything. Lucid dreaming is nothing more than realizing you're dreaming while you are dreaming. Lucid dreaming is not complicated or difficult. As simplified as this may sound, it is the truth. My best lucid dreams have started quite simply. I would be dreaming something, fully involved in the plot. Then out of nowhere, a simple thought would come to my mind. Hey, this is a dream. This is a Dream was the original title of this book. I almost used this title because I wanted to emphasize the paramount importance of this single point. Simple awareness opens the door to this overwhelming, mind-blowing, take your breath away experience. Once I was there, I was in shock and amazement of the reality, beauty, and power of this experience. You would think that years of meditation, praying, discipline, and reverence would be the price one would have to pay to achieve this glorious state of consciousness. It is by far the most incredible experience in my life. Nothing in this world has ever come close to the beauty, joy, and revelation I have experienced in my dreams. It all begins with one simple thought. This is a dream. Dream example. I am in my office talking with my friend and another person. Things seem normal enough, and then I look around and think, oh, this is a dream. I immediately abandon what I was doing, walk right past my friends, and head for the closest outside door. Just as I walk outside into the parking lot, music begins to play. My favorite music is jazz guitar. This has happened to me many times in lucid dreams. Music will begin to play, and it is overwhelmingly beautiful. I have never heard music sound so incredible. It is all around you, and it fills your soul with joy. As the music plays, I launch myself into effortless flight. It's a winter night, and I can feel the cool breeze against my face as I fly about 50 feet above the ground, flying at a nice pace for sightseeing, I'd say about 40 miles per hour. I notice how absolute real everything is. I skim over the tops of tall trees and touch their branches as I pass. I look out over the city. The lights of the city sparkle in the distance. Again, I marvel at the reality of it. This is no dream-like image. Everything is perfect, just the way it is when I'm awake. Things are sharp and clear. I can feel the night air. My God, everything is real. There is reality in the dream state. Reality. Let's talk now about reality. This is where I feel others have not focused enough attention, yet it is something that I noticed very early on. Many times I would just stop and look around. Sometimes I would walk up to trees and just touch them, really look at them up close. To my amazement, it was completely real. I was, and still am, amazed by this. As simple as this may sound, you must try this. Once you are aware you are dreaming, walk over to a tree and touch it. Take the time to examine it, smell it, and run your hands down it. Pick a flower, some grass, or drink from a stream. What may sound simple and uneventful in writing here will shock and amaze you there. You will know you are in a dream, yet when you really stop to check things out, they are real. I remember talking to a friend of mine about such seemingly boring details. She was interested in lucid dreaming, yet had never had one. I had talked to her many times about lucid dreaming, what to watch for, and how to do it. When I would talk to her, I would mention how incredible just touching and looking at things could be. Several times I could tell by the look in her eyes that she just did not get it. This is quite common. Most people just can't get how incredible it is till it happens to them. One night she had her first lucid dream. When I saw her the next day, she was so excited. She said, "Lance, I did it! I had a lucid dream. I was in my old junior high. As I was walking down the halls, all of a sudden I thought, hey, I'm not in junior high anymore. This is a dream. I remembered what you told me to do, so I walked over to one of the walls and ran my hand down it." Oh my God, Lance, you were right. It was completely real. I looked at it very close and touched it. You were so right. I never understood why that would be such a big deal. But I do now. You have to experience it to understand. It was so incredible just touching that wall, knowing it was a dream, yet seeing how real it was. Take the time to do this in several of your first lucid dreams. Walk through a beautiful meadow, feel the wind against your face, touch some grass, pick some, and then hold the freshly cut blades up to your nose and smell them. Look around you at the sky and the clouds. If you stop and take the time to notice the environment around you, your level of awareness will increase dramatically. You will find the environment becoming more and more real, many times, so much so that it will take your breath away. In fact, as you're doing this, say out loud 3 times, "This is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream." This simple act will anchor your awareness and prevent you from slipping back into unconscious dreaming. Losing lucidity and how to get it back. Slipping back into unconscious dreaming, or losing lucidity, can occur very often. Just because you manage to get lucid does not mean you can't slip back into regular dreaming. Sometimes you can be dreaming aware, and then start to get too involved with something that is going on in the dream environment. I call this getting sucked back into the plot. For example, let's say you are aware you are dreaming, but then you are distracted by a conversation someone is trying to have with you, or you start listening to a conversation someone else is having in the dream. Pretty soon you get involved mentally in what's going on and forget you're dreaming. You got sucked into the dream plot or story, and now you are no longer lucid. This is why I recommend that as soon as you become aware you are dreaming, you immediately abandon the dream plot. Whatever is going on in the dream story, as soon as you become aware you are dreaming, do something different. Abandon the plot. I don't care if your mother is right in the middle of saying something to you. It's a dream character, not your real mother. She will not be offended. She is just a dream character. Walk away. Immediately do something different, something that verifies the fact that you can now do anything, and you are aware that you are dreaming. Take off and fly. Say out loud, "This is a dream. This is a dream. This is a dream." You'll find that just the fact that you're reading this book will be all it takes to become lucid. This is because I have made you aware of 2 things. 1, you can be aware while dreaming. 2, I will have told you all the things you can do once you are lucid. Just that knowledge, just that awareness, is all you need. You don't need to try to do anything. Just having that awareness, just knowing what is possible, will make it happen without any effort or thought on your part. Reread the last couple of paragraphs, because it is of paramount importance. Relax and just enjoy reading about these things, nothing more. Then one night while you're dreaming, without any thought on your part, you will look around and realize, hey, this is a dream. Anything is possible. Now, this is where the fun starts. Now that you know you're dreaming, anything is possible. What you can do is only limited by what you think you can do. It took me years of experimenting in the dream environment to see just how true this was. I found that the dream environment was extremely sensitive to my own expectations. The tiniest fleeting slight thought could manifest instantly in a lucid dream. If I had a slight thought that I might have a difficult time walking through a wall, it would be difficult. If I felt sure I could pass right through it, I would with ease. This is just one example of this concept, but it is vital that you understand it from the start. If you are aware how important your own limits, expectations, and beliefs are, you can recognize how you are affecting the dream environment and thereby transcend those limits. Let's say you would like to try to put your hand through a wall. You walk up to the wall and you try to pass your arm through it, but you find it to be solid. At this point, it is normal for a lucid dreamer to try to force it through, but all you're doing is reaffirming the apparent fact that it is difficult for you to do this. It appears solid, and you are trying to force it. Stop. Step back and say, "This is a dream and I can do anything." Now put your arm out and pass it through the wall. Just relax. Resistance is just your mind still identifying with the waking world. Relax and remind yourself it's all a dream, and the dream world will correspond to your affirmation. Your arm will pass through the wall effortlessly. It's all about your expectation. The more experience I gained in the dream world, and the more I experimented in it, the more confident I became. And the more confident I became, the more I was able to do with less and less effort. My expectation over time became more and more confident. I became surer with each experience that I could do anything, and as a result, I could do anything, and on an amazing scale. Dream example. I become aware I am dreaming as I'm walking down the street in my neighborhood. I stop and look around me at the amazing reality. It's nighttime. I can hear the crickets chirping. I can see the stars sparkling in the sky, and I can breathe the cool, crisp night air. As I'm walking along, I decided to see if I could pick up one of the cars that were parked on the street. I walked over to the car, expecting to be able to do it, but not sure, took hold of it, and began to lift it. As I picked it up, I was amazed to hear the metal and springs begin to creak and shift under the pressure of my lifting it, just like it would in real life. Again, these kind of amazing details always catch my attention and wonder. Once I had it off the ground, with some lifting effort I might add, I decided to throw it. I heaved the car, and to my surprise I sent it hurling through the night air at a high velocity. It traveled the distance of over a block before crashing down into someone's front yard. The noise from the crash was shockingly loud and realistic. It was so loud and real that I ducked my head in shock as the car hit, but also in that kind of embarrassment you get when you do something that turns out to have a bigger effect than you were expecting. I was thinking, holy shit. Even though I knew I was dreaming, the crash of that car hitting the ground made me duck my head and look around the neighborhood like a kid who had just broke a neighbor's window. It was so much fun that the next several times that I had lucid dreams, I continued to do this. During one of these dreams, I stopped and thought to myself, wait a minute, why am I lifting this car with my arms? I can do anything. I'll just lift it with my mind. With that, I stepped back from the car, reached out with my hand, and pointed at the car. With my finger pointed at the car, I just had the thought to lift it off the ground. I could hear the car creak and squeak as the metal shifted under the strain of being lifted. Yet I was not straining at all. I had simply realized and believed that I could lift it with my mind, and so it happened with ease. Once I had the car off the ground, I again sent it hurling through the air. I had several different lucid dreams over the course of the next few weeks. It's not like I was just obsessed with throwing cars. However, it was fun, and many of my experiences at this time were centered on powers and experimenting with what was possible. In one of these dreams, some 2 weeks after I had originally thrown the first car, I had another dream where after becoming lucid, I decided to throw a few cars around again. As I walked down the street, I realized if I could now just point at a car, pick it up, and send it flying. Why am I even pointing? I can do anything. With that thought, I simply glanced at the nearest car. Just my glance and thought sent the car flying several blocks down the street. I kept walking down this street, just glancing from side to side, sending car after car hurling through the air and crashing into the ground. I had become so confident in my ability that just the slightest thought and glance of my eye held incredible power. The point I am trying to make here is that your expectation in the dream environment is everything. As you gain experience as a lucid dreamer, notice this important fact. The more confident you get, the easier it is to do things. The more you just expect to be able to do something, the more effortless it will become. The dream environment responds to your slightest intent, confidence, and experience. False awakenings. There are a few critical bits of knowledge and dream skills that will help you immensely along the way. One of these is the concept of false awakenings. It has been determined by many sleep research specialists that individuals with insomnia are sometimes asleep when they think they are awake. In other words, it turns out that many times when an insomniac thought they were laying there awake, they were actually dreaming they were awake. In your dreams, this phenomenon can be used to your advantage. As we all know, there are moments during the evening where we wake up briefly. We may wake up just for a moment while we shift our position, or perhaps for a few minutes before returning to sleep. Now, the truth is that on occasion we are not actually waking up. We are dreaming we are waking up. Dream example. I went to bed with the light intention to check if I was dreaming or really awake. I woke up in the middle of the night and looked around my room. I was about to just turn over and go back to sleep. Then I think, wait, this might be a dream. I looked around the room some more. Everything seems just as it should be, even the way the room is dimly lit by the street light outside. Still, I decide to check further. I reach over and try to put my hand through my nightstand. To my shock, my hand passes right through it. I rapidly sit up in my bed, and still in shock, look intensely around the room. Everything is in its place. Nothing looked of sorts or unusual. At this point, I get out of bed and start walking around my room. I can't believe that everything looks so perfect and so real. At this point, I know I'm dreaming, but there must be something. Something somewhere that's a little off in the room. I continue to walk around my room looking for anything that may be out of place. As I come to my bedroom door, I find one flaw. The doorknob is at the wrong height. It's mounted on the door at about eye level. I smile at this slight defect in the dream environment, but at the same time, I'm grateful for it. Clearly, this is a dream. With that, I turned and walked towards my bedroom window. Without hesitation, I walked right through it and out into my front yard. Once outside, I leaped into the air and took off flying over my neighborhood. I gained altitude rapidly. The night sky was clear and the city lights sparkled below me. I'm sure many have had the experience of having to go to the bathroom during the night. You get up to walk to the bathroom, maybe you even start to go, then find that you are still in bed and you dreamed you were up walking to the bathroom. This is an example that may help you identify with the concept of false awakenings. So, if you are not really awake when you think you are, how can this help with lucid dreaming? By being aware that you may not really be awake, you can catch yourself dreaming. If you can catch yourself dreaming, you can become lucid. You accomplish this by performing some kind of reality test every time you think you may have woken up. This is how false awakenings can be used to your advantage. It can be a gateway to dreaming aware. Every time you awaken for a moment during the night, try to remember to do a quick reality check. Try to put your hand through your pillow or your nightstand. If you find yourself on your feet, try to do a little jump. Do you float a bit before your feet touch the ground again? Look around the room. Is anything different? If you can remember to do this, one of those times you will be shocked and amazed to find that you are dreaming when you thought you were awake. But don't stop there. Do something fun. Remember, abandon what you were doing once you realize you are dreaming. Do something you cannot do in real life. Fly, walk through a wall, put your hand out, and have something fly through the air into your hand. If you have caught yourself dreaming, now is the time to have fun. Don't forget to say out loud, "This is a dream." This really does help anchor in your awareness and will dramatically increase your abilities. Reality checks are not just for false awakenings. They can also be quite useful as a tool for becoming aware during a regular dream. Let's say you are engaged in a regular dream. That is, you don't know you're dreaming. As you are going along in this dream, you suddenly wonder if you're dreaming. Great. This is a sign that you're really starting to get it. Your mind all by itself is stopping to question if it's dreaming while in a dream. You're almost there, but not quite. You are wondering if you're dreaming, but you don't know. Now is the time to do a quick reality check. Jump up in the air and see if it takes just a few seconds for you to come back down. Push your hand through a glass window. Does it pass through the glass like jello? Look around. See anything that is unusual? If you're in a social situation and you are afraid to do anything weird while you test things, be sly about it. Just rest your hand on something and push. If it passes through, yes, you're dreaming. Abandon the plot, abandon the social situation, take off and fly. Extending dreams. Another useful skill for lucid dreaming is the ability to extend a dream. How many times have you wanted a dream to continue, but it ended just when things were about to get really good? There are skills you can employ to extend a dream, and even bring it back after it has, for the most part, faded away. I have used these techniques hundreds of times to stop a dream from ending and continue with what I was doing. The key is to catch the dream as it first starts to fade out. After you have gained some experience in the dream world, you will notice that just as the dream is ending, many times you can see the visuals start to fade out. It's like a movie when the scene is ending and the picture begins to fade, but the sounds are still there as it fades out. The key here is to catch that moment in the dream and quickly engage one of your senses in that moment. Quickly rub your hands together, drink some water from a stream, or run your hands over the bark of a tree trunk. Really feel it and look at it. Dream example. I am in the middle of a great lucid dream. I have been flying above a forest enjoying the beauty and marveling at the reality. I land by a stream to take a look around, when suddenly I notice the visuals are starting to fade. Knowing what to do, I quickly walk into the stream, about up to my knees, bend down and with my hands in the water, scoop up some water to drink. I can feel the cool water in my mouth and on my hands. I do this a few more times, and the visuals stabilize. I'm back, and I continue on with my dream. In another lucid dream, I am in a desert walking along at sunset. I noticed that the dream was starting to fade. I quickly start rubbing my hands together, and as if by magic, the visuals return, the dream stabilized, and I continued on my way. Why does this work? When you're in a dream, you are identifying with your dream body, not your real body, which is in bed. The things you hear, touch, taste, and feel are being experienced with your dream awareness. In other words, when you are dreaming, your focus is on the experiences, sensations, and events in the dream world. When you start to wake up, your focus shifts from the sensations and surroundings of the dream world to the sensations and surroundings of the waking world. This is a natural transition. But you can delay this transition several times and thereby extend the dream you wish to stay in. When a dream starts to fade and you quickly rub your hands together in the dream, you refocus your attention to the physical sensations of your dream body, which pulls you back into the dream environment. When you do something that really engages your mind in the sensations of the dream world, it pulls the attention of your mind back to the dream world. The dream visuals fade back in rapidly, and you are back in your dream, ready to continue. This is such a powerful tool. The more you are able to catch that moment and restore a dream, the more easily it will come to you. Do anything that engages physical sensations in your dream. I have found rubbing my hands together to be the most convenient. My hands are always there. If the dream begins to fade, I just start rubbing them together in the dream. As I mentioned above, I have also drank water or touched objects to get my attention focused back on dream world sensations. You can use this technique to re-enter a dream as well. Let's say that a dream ends very quickly, as they sometimes do. So quick that you do not have time to rub your hands together. Hold still, keep your eyes closed, and don't move. Stay in the exact same position. Then in your mind, imagine you are rubbing your hands together. Don't try to see any of the old dream environment that will happen by itself. Just feel in your mind, find your imagination, and rub your hands together in your mind. Many times the sensation will become more and more real, till all of a sudden you'll be standing there in the dream world rubbing your hands together. You're back. Walk-ins. Next, let's talk about walk-ins. Walk-ins can provide some of the most profound experiences you can have in the dream world. A walk-in moment is when you go directly from waking to lucid dreaming, no unconscious dreaming in between. Dream example: I am lying in bed just starting to fall asleep. As I lay there, I begin to feel and hear the swooshing and buzzing. After much experience with these sensations, I recognize that I am at the border between sleep and waking. I hold still, and I do not engage my mind. I just let it happen and wait. I begin to hear voices, conversations, and noises. I cannot see anything yet, but I have learned to expect this during this phase. I continue to wait. Soon I start to see random images. These images turn from swirling colors to geometric forms, to vague images of familiar objects. Still I wait. I've learned that if you move before the dream is fully formed, you will wake up. At this stage, it is important to just remain the observer. Just let everything happen around you. Next, the images become clearer and clearer, till finally a fully formed dream environment surrounds me. The colors are sharp, the images are real, the sounds coherent and recognizable. Only now do I move. Carefully I step forward, moving in, walking in, to what is now a realistic dream environment. Now that I'm in the dream, I'm free to do what I want. I passed from waking to pre-dream sensations, sounds, and imagery, to full immersion in the dream environment, all without losing awareness. Walk-in moments can be a scary experience if you don't know what's going on or how to deal with it. You may have already experienced them in some form. Perhaps you have been lying in bed just starting to drift off, when suddenly you feel yourself drop or fall a few feet. This frightens you, and the sensation causes you to jolt awake. You weren't really floating above your bed, nor was your spirit momentarily out of your body, as many individuals have claimed. You were just about to enter a dream, and your mind was beginning to identify with your dream body. Anytime you start to experience sensations and/or noises, don't let it scare you. Wait. Wait and observe them. If you ride them out, you will be able to watch them evolve into a dream. Once the dream is full-formed, you can step into them aware you are dreaming. Walk-in moments are amazing because they allow you to go straight from waking to dreaming without losing awareness. This way, you don't have to realize you're dreaming because you never lost your waking awareness in the first place. Dream paralysis. As I have mentioned, you may have to deal with some unusual sensations and phenomenon. One of them is dream paralysis. For centuries, people have been experiencing this possibly terrifying phenomenon. Only recently, thanks to numerous scientific studies, do we understand what is really going on. Remember, awareness is everything. In this case, awareness that dream paralysis is normal sets you free to get past it and get lucid. In Chapter 1, I described a terrifying experience I had one night at the age of 19. This dream illustrates perfectly the intensity and terror that can happen when dream paralysis happens to you. This can be a terrifying experience if the individual is not prepared to deal with it. Dream paralysis is just one of the possible transition phases one may or may not pass through on his way to the dream world. Physically, what is happening is quite simple. As you start to fall asleep and go into REM sleep, the dreaming phase of sleep, your body naturally becomes immobile. Your brain does this to prevent you from thrashing about and acting out your dreams. Normally, we are not aware of this because we are dreaming unconsciously. We don't feel the paralysis in our physical body because we are now identifying with our dream body, which is moving freely around in the dream. However, if you fall asleep consciously, do a walk-in, you may for a few moments experience dream paralysis. When you start to become more aware of dream world phenomenon, phases, and abilities, more things are going to happen and be revealed to you. You must be prepared for them in order to pass through and transcend them. In the case of dream paralysis, staying calm is paramount. The more you struggle and resist, the longer and more terrifying it can become. Let's say that you're lying in bed one night just starting to fall asleep. As you drift off to sleep, you hear and feel a strange buzzing or whooshing feeling, quickly shooting through your head and body. You begin to feel a presence in the room. You feel like someone is in the room with you. You go to sit up, but find you can't move. In fact, you find that you are floating several feet above your bed, paralyzed. You feel the presence move beside you. The next thing you know, it's sitting on your chest. All you can see is the black silhouette of this menacing figure looming over you. You can barely stand the weight of the creature on you as you struggle to breathe, or even move. You notice that the black, shadowy figure is actually squatting on you. His feet are on your chest while he is squatting down, looking at your face. He is breathing heavily over you, and you can see his body heave with each of its powerful breaths. You begin to panic, then stop as you begin to remember the concepts you have learned in this book. This is no evil demon in your room. This is dream paralysis. You are in the transition stage between wake and sleep. This is not a terrible thing. It's a great thing. You have become aware and conscious while transitioning between wake and sleep. Yes, you are seeing scary things, but that is only because the dream images are beginning to form. The paralysis will pass quickly if you relax and don't struggle. The dark shadow cannot hurt you in the least. It's a dream. Just wait, just wait. Then, with that, you feel the black figure fade away. You feel its weight vanish from your chest. You feel your body becoming more and more mobile. The paralysis leaves, and you sit up. You have made it. You look around the room. Everything looks perfect, just like it does when you are awake. But you know what you're doing. You know you're dreaming. And now that the paralysis has passed, you are free to do anything you want. You walk through your bedroom wall and outside. You marvel at the beautiful blue, sunny sky. A flash of excitement flows through you as you realize you can do anything now. You leap into the air and your body launches straight up into effortless flight. You sense overwhelming joy welling up in you. You're hundreds of feet in the air now, and the view below you is breathtaking. Thrilled like you've never been before, you say to yourself, "My God, how can this be? I'm so free, so free." What I have just described to you is one of many experiences I have had with dream paralysis and passing through it. My experience is not unique either. I have read many similar accounts by other lucid dreamers. The way to deal with it is always the same. Relax, don't struggle, and wait for it to pass. No matter what you see, or how immobilized you are, wait, wait, wait. The more you remain calm and unaffected, the faster it will pass. Remember not to look at this as a bad thing. It heralds the onset of lucidity. Keep in mind that you are only a few seconds away from full-blown freedom and fun. Stick with it and ride it out. It will be worth it. This is the perfect time for us to talk about spirits. I'm sure that many of you reading the above account are saying to yourself, "Well, that sounds really scary to me." How do you know that you weren't really being visited by some kind of evil spirit? As I wrote in the first chapter of this book, I had many experiences when I was younger that made me feel that was exactly what was happening. After I began to dream awake, one of my priorities was to investigate just that concern. Once I knew I was dreaming, while I was dreaming, I took the opportunity to face any scary thing that might appear in these dreams. If I was in paralysis, I would simply ignore them and wait, as outlined above, and they would just simply vanish. In my dreams, I would approach any evil spirit or monster directly. Once face to face with them, I would ask them who they were and what they wanted. Many times, these creatures would simply answer, in an overly polite way, some kind of nonsense answer, then fade away. Other times, they would actually become afraid of me and run away. That was fun. Not to say that I did not run at times, I did. Whenever I would run, or try to avoid these scary specters, they would become more terrifying and chase me relentlessly. Experience by experience, I began to see a pattern, and I began to learn. Dream example. I was walking through the streets of a slightly foggy 18th century European town. The streets were shiny and wet from an evening shower. The flames of the street lamps reflected off the brick roads as I walked alone in the still night air. Aware I was dreaming, I felt happy and amazed at the reality around me. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow of a figure off in the distance, down one of the dimly lit streets. For just a brief second, I felt a rush of fear through me. A quick thought flashed into my mind. Oh no, what is that? Then just as quick, I said to myself, no, I know how to deal with this. With that, I turned towards the dark figure in the distance, then shot down the road towards him at high velocity. Stopping just inches directly in front of him, I said, "Hi." The specter screamed in terror and ran off into the night. I smiled at the reaction and continued on my fearless way. More so than in waking life, the old saying applies, face your fears. I am reminded of a bit of wisdom I heard many years ago. I wish I knew the author of this saying, as I would love to give him or her full credit. If you run from fear, it will chase you. If you face it, it will fade away. I'm sure the individual was not referring to the dream world when they wrote this amazing piece. Yet it perfectly puts what I am trying to express in an eloquent nutshell. Face any scary thing you see in the dream world, and you will quickly learn there is nothing to fear. This will also lead you to another important conclusion. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can hurt you. The sooner you discover this for yourself, the quicker you can develop other important skills. I highly recommend you make this a priority in your first lucid dreams. Prove to yourself that nothing there can hurt you. Deliberately put yourself in harm's way, in the dream world, of course. Jump off a high building and deliberately let yourself hit the ground. Resist the temptation to fly just before you hit the ground. Approach the most dangerous-looking monster in your dream, hold your arm out, and let him try to take a bite out of it. Trust me, nothing will hurt. Dream example. I am flying at night about 40 feet above a dark and scary landscape. All the trees are dead and jagged, with all the bark stripped from them. I come upon the ruins of an old castle. The castle itself is gutted with only a few of the walls left intact. Lightning strikes randomly off in the distance. I land on top of the last remaining corner tower of the castle. Below me is a desolate courtyard. Fragments of iron fence, dead bushes, and loose bricks litter the ground. Running around on the ground are many fierce gargoyle-like creatures with long, needle-sharp teeth. Fully lucid, I take the opportunity to face the horrible scene below. I jump off the tower and fly down to the courtyard below. As soon as I land on the ground, the group of gargoyles, about 15, converge upon me. As they rapidly approach, I squat down to put myself at their height. Once I'm completely surrounded by them, I hold out one of my arms. The gargoyle closest to me takes my arm in his mouth and ever so gently bites it, like a playful puppy. After allowing a few playful bites on my arm, no pain or damage at all, I stand up and look at the other gargoyles surrounding me. I realize none of them can hurt me, and can see in their eyes that they have no such intention anymore. They are all just standing there looking at me like a herd of gentle, curious sheep. Danger-faced and point-proven, I launch into the air to continue on with my flight. Notice anything unusual? As I mentioned earlier, achieving this state of consciousness is nothing more than becoming aware you're dreaming. One of the easiest ways of doing this is just to simply notice things that are not usual. You may not be used to doing this, and it is important that you not try, as this will be counterproductive. Just reading about this concept will be enough. Let's say that, like my friend, you are dreaming you are back in junior high. You're sitting at your desk as they hand out a test. Suddenly you realize that you have not studied for this test. In fact, as you think about it, you cannot remember even attending this class all quarter. You begin to panic as you wonder why you have missed all of this class. Then you think, wait a minute, I'm not in junior high anymore. I have a job and a house. This is a dream. You stand up, and abandoning the plot, you walk straight to the window. You don't even bother to open the window as you leap into the air and fly right through the glass. After passing through the glass, you fly out over the neighborhoods, moving fast and gaining altitude. The sun is shining and the air is fresh. You feel an overwhelming sense of joy and gratitude welling up inside you. The view below is breathtaking. You're free. Remember, anytime you notice something unusual, there is a good chance you're dreaming. Are you back in high school? Did a dog just talk to you? Are your grown kids little again? Is your pet from childhood back alive? Are you floating above your bed? Always, always, this means you're dreaming. Say out loud, this is a dream, then abandon the plot and be on your way. Extra sleep. Extra sleep is a basic to lucid dreaming. I can't tell you how many of my lucid dreams have occurred during an extra hour of sleep in the morning. Now that you know the concepts, you will find that your most likely time to become lucid will be in the last hour or so of your night's sleep. This is because your REM sleeping cycle is at its strongest during the last hours of sleep. In other words, we dream the most in the early morning hours just before we wake. If you are having more dreams, you are more likely to notice you are dreaming. But you are even more likely to become aware you are dreaming if you wake at your normal time, then go back to sleep for another hour. We can't always sleep in, but try this when you can. Many times I have woken on a Saturday morning at my normal waking time, then realized it was the weekend and I did not need to get up. Cozy in bed, I relaxed and began to fall back to sleep. I have had multiple lucid dreams under these conditions. When you have had enough sleep, yet you go back to sleep for another hour, you dream quickly and your mind is more able to recognize you are dreaming. Remind yourself, the next thing I see will be a dream. I would like to introduce you to an easy-to-remember technique for becoming aware in your dreams. Actually, this technique is related and similar to the walk-in technique. Let's say you are asleep and dreaming. You wake up in the middle of the night briefly before drifting back off to sleep. As you lay there and feel yourself falling back to sleep, say to yourself, in your mind, the next thing I see will be a dream. Say this over and over again as you fall asleep. Dream example, I wake up around 2 in the morning. As I fall back to sleep, I say softly in my mind, the next thing I see will be a dream. I repeat this over and over as I drift off. Soon, I am standing in a desert at sunset. There are some abandoned sheds and broken-down chain-link fence around me. The wind is blowing enough to kick up some swirling dust, and the setting sun colors it with a red hue. As I'm standing there looking around, I catch myself saying out loud, the next thing I see will be a dream. The next thing I see will be a dream. Then it hits me. The next thing I see will be a dream. This is a dream. Thrilled, I take off straight up in flight, leaving the swirling desert dust rapidly falling away beneath me. The sun that was setting from my perspective on the ground was now fully visible from hundreds of feet up. The warm desert air is fresh at this altitude, and I bask in the beauty of the landscape all around me.